Badminton unit plan, Jake Perpetua. So my unit goals are broken down into the 4 domains: psychomotor, cognitive, fitness, and affective. My psychomotor unit goals are the overhead clear, the drop shot, the short serve, and the long serve. These all relate to standard 1. My cognitive unit goals are create space to win shots, vary shots, and serve choices to create opportunities, and also to defend space in our own court. And these all relate to standard 2. My fitness unit goals are to increase flexibility and understand the importance of flexibility. And the reason I chose this was just because I believe that flexibility is important in badminton, more specifically upper body flexibility, so rotating the body, coming across our body when we're swinging the racket, and these all relate to standard 3. My affective unit goals are to give honest and constructive feedback, be respectful, and to show proper etiquette, because badminton is a game of proper etiquette and respect, and also to be individually motivated to improve skills and fitness, so that unit goal relates to the affective and fitness domain as well, and these all relate to standard 4. So my block plan, I'm going to pull up in the other window just because it was too big for this PowerPoint. And I did it in the form of a calendar, the January 2019 calendar, just because I thought it would be easier for my organization. So I'm going to break this down week by week to just dissect this mess here. So let me get back to this. So week 1, we're basically going to be focusing on getting all the pre-assessments out of the way, focusing on showing the students clearly what their unit goals are. So let's get into that. So the first day, January 7th, there's a cognitive pre-assessment, and this is meant to test the required cognitive skills for the unit and show the students what is required of them. And I'm going to click the link and get into that. So it's just a quick written pre-assessment, just because I thought this was the most simple way and direct way to show them their goals. What serve should you perform? What is an effective way to move our opponents? Where does the serve need to land? That type of stuff, all about cognitive badminton skills. My affective pre-assessment is also in the same format. It's another quick written, what type of feedback should we give when observing our classmates? What is the most important etiquette rule in badminton? That type of stuff. What should we work on improving? When should we work on, and that's, of course, all of the above. I want to show them that they can work on this outside of PE. So my next informal affective assessment on January 9th is a question and answer. They are including what are some important things to remember when giving feedback? What are some ways we can make our classmates feel better if they're having a bad day? So hopefully they would have already learned something from the pre-assessment affective. And this also comes with a student participation checklist, which allows the teacher to know which student is showing no participations, just sufficient participation, or exemplary participation. And this checklist will pop up in all of the Q&As in this unit, so you'll see this again. My next assessment is on January 10th. It is a GPAI pre-assessment, I'm using the Dartfish Easy Tag app. It's teacher directed. As you can see, the grid shows appropriate, inappropriate shot and serve decisions for both students, because just so what the teacher will be doing is watching 2 students play singles and observing each student to see if they're making appropriate or inappropriate decisions throughout the entire game. So I have a fitness pre-assessment. As I said earlier, it's the sit and reach. This is going to measure flexibility at the beginning and the end of the unit. I'm just going to show you the format real quickly in Google Docs. And it's basic instructions on the healthy fitness zone, what you need to score, how to use it. There will obviously be a demonstration before this, and then just a simple table for them to record their answers, and a personal fitness goal, so that way they get their form back at the end of the unit and they can see if they achieve their personal fitness goal, as improving fitness was part of my fitness unit goals. back to the PowerPoint. So we're at week 2. So this is January 14th through the 18th. So week 2 focuses mainly on informal assessments, a lot of Q&As here to start checking for understanding and the student's progression in the early stages of the unit. And the lessons psychomotorly focus on creating space and defending space. So it's a lot of psychomotor and a lot of cognitive skills focused in this lesson. So my first assessment is a informal psychomotor assessment. It's a drop shot Q&A on the first day of the week, January 14th. So the questions relate to how would we lead up to performing the drop shot, disguise your shot as an overhead clear to move your opponent back, what are some tips for performing the drop shot. An example answer would keep the wrist stiff, short follow through, and these questions actually came straight from the TGFU book. And the example answers are just answers that you would like to hear from your students when they participate. So this is an open-ended conversation to really gauge which students are participating, which students just need to improve a little bit more on their participation in class. So another informal cognitive assessment, it's a drop shot Q&A for January 15th. So these questions refer to when your opponent is pushed back, where is the space you can attack to win the point? Of course, at the front of your opponent's court. These questions again came from the TGFU. These are very important cognitive skills for badminton. And again, we're using our teacher checklist here to see which students are showing participation and showing that it's mainly about showing which students understand the rules and the cognitive skills of badminton. We're not scolding the students for not participating, but we want them to improve their understanding and also feel more comfortable participating in Q&As. On January 16th, there's an informal psychomotor peer assessment. It is about recovering to the center court between shots. The directions are just what would be included in the assessment for the students. Mainly, the yellow is what their students are supposed to be doing. That's their objective, and it's to return each shuttle and return to the center court using the proper footwork. And the 8 out of 10 times is what's highlighted because that's what they're going to be trying to do each trial, and each trial consists of 10. There's a hitter, a thrower, an observer, and the hitter is aiming for, as I said, 8 out of 10, not successful returns, but successful returns to the center court after they hit the shot. On the 17th, I have an effective informal assessment. I actually got this assessment off of a helpful website, which I listed at the top. And this is going to be completed after the lesson on the high serve of badminton. And clearly, they're just going to be showing. And of course, instead of do I encourage my teammates, which is the first question, you would want to explain them, do I encourage my classmates? Because we're not at the stage of doubles yet. But you could use this with doubles if you wanted to. But for this lesson, we're going to be talking about mostly our classmates, and of course, do I encourage my opponents after? Because as I said, badminton is a game of respect for our opponents. So January 18th is an informal cognitive assessment on the high serve. So where is the best place to serve in a singles match? Why? So how should we attempt to do this? These basic questions on the high serve and the cognitive aspects that come with the high serve. And again, the teacher checklist. And at this point, you should start to see an improvement in your students' participation since we've had a few Q&As already, and they should really start getting a grasp of the knowledge. So week 3, this week mainly focuses on peer and self-assessments. Still some Q&As, but peer and self-assessments I feel are more effective, so we started to get into that in week 3 as the class gets used to the way the class is going. We have more time for assessments. And we also are focusing a lot on effective and fitness domain in this week. So my first assessment is an informal fitness assessment on effort. And so the students will first start off picking a color that they think how hard they tried, how hard they think they tried. And the interesting thing about this is after that, they will take their heart rate. So that way they can actually get a grasp of how hard they tried according to their body. And now not how hard they think they tried, and they can maybe see how much they could push the limit on the next class. My next assessment is an informal psychomotor peer assessment. So this is, of course, process oriented as well. I wanted to focus on demonstrating the proper cues, having 5 trials, of course, another observer, because you can't really self-assess your cues. So step to the shuttle, opposite foot snappers, follow through. These are the cues from the TGFU book. January 23rd, we're going to have an informal affective self-assessment, which is a ticket to leave. It's very simple, just how they felt on that day. So at 1 through 5, 1 obviously doing great. 5, if you can't explode, or you can't stand this and are ready to explode. Hopefully that's nobody's response, but will be their ticket to leave, to show how they did this class and how they enjoyed their class. And this also came from a very helpful website, which is stated at the bottom. So January 24th, I have an informal cognitive assessment again, another Q&A focusing on the smash and when you should use the smash and what are the advantages. And as you can see, the checklist is still starting to improve. We have a lot more students in the sufficient participation area, which is a lot better from non-participatory, which we saw from the beginning of the unit. Hopefully you'll see your students improving at this point. January 25th, we're having an informal psychomotor assessment on the short serve. As I stated earlier, we want 70% successful serve. That was according to the NASP standard for net wall games at the 8th grade level, which we are at the 8th grade level, and that's 70% highlighted in the assessment. So students are aiming for that, aiming for 70%, not hopefully on every single trial. Every single trial consists of 10 short serves. So the final week 4, is going to be focusing a lot on the culminating activity, which is a round robin singles tournament where all 22 students are going to integrate their skills in one final culminating activity. And the final lessons focusing on winning points. So my first assessment this week is an informal cognitive assessment, which includes attacking the short serve. At this point, all your students should be having great participation. Kind of trying to rush through this here. So as you can see, students are in the non-participatory. They should be understanding and being comfortable in the Q&A sessions at this point. So another informal fitness assessment on the next day. That is a flexibility Q&A. And this one isn't using a checklist because they're kind of difficult questions we went over in the beginning of the unit. Why is it important to be flexible? Of course, reduce the chance of injury, muscle soreness, that type of stuff. My fitness post-assessment is, of course, the sit and reach. So they'll go back to this assessment and hopefully have completed their personal fitness goal at the bottom that they decided to place there at the beginning of the unit when they did the sit and reach initially. So again, they go back to the GPAI Dartfish Easy Tag, the same grid. The teacher will go around, extensively observing every match in the. This could be done during the round robin tournament, which is 2 days long. So the teacher has a long time to observe every single student and get a lot of data and make sure every student has learned the cognitive skills and is demonstrating them an appropriate amount of times. And my final written summative cognitive assessment, we're going to get right into that. We have a minute left. So again, the multiple choice, they're almost exactly similar to the pre-assessment on cognitive. So the short answers: what is the advantage to using the underarm clear? How can you prevent your opponent from anticipating shots? These are all cognitive. Where should we relocate? So these are a lot of questions that most of them came from Q&As. A lot of the informal assessments all pretty much relate exactly to the summative assessment. Hopefully your students will remember them and be able to write them down and put it into a summative assessment and get that good grade for the end of the unit. And so for my gameplay scenarios, I have a very simple badminton court, as you can see, with labeling each area asked of on the court. I don't have an answer key for this. I was unable to label it, but of course, they're very simple. For example, label where the short serve should land, etc., etc. The unit closure, don't really have time to read this, So I want to get into this awesome GIF at the end. Thank you very much.